Well, good evening from everybody at SSRL. We warmly welcome you to a new season of racing, and it is going to be a 10-week entertainer of racing. Let me just take you through the calendar as of right now. Well, we start tonight in the iconic circuit of Imola, all located all the way in Italy. Then we go to Austin the very next week, then to Mexico. Then it is Brazil, followed by China, and of course, you do read that correctly. We will have a full quali session at that round, and then we go to Austria, which is, of course, Red Bull Ring, and then Las Vegas, Qatar, Lusail, and then Abu Dhabi with a finale in Barcelona. Of course, that will be Circuit de Catalunya, and your lineup for this season. Well, the Red Bulls go through a bit of a change with Race Chase moving from, I think it was Kick Salbert, yes it was, and Moksha going from reserve to full-time into the Red Bull. Herman moves on from VCarb into the Mercedes. Tarcangino goes from Ferrari into Mercedes as well. And of course, from Haas to Ferrari goes Chugster. From McLaren to Ferrari goes Pleasant Snake. From Aston Martin, Fellow Sun goes to McLaren. And from Red Bull goes Energetic 6 to McLaren. Kovačka from McLaren to Aston Martin. And Daryl from Alpine to Aston Martin as well. Toby from the Williams outfit goes to Alpine, and Danger David from Red Bull goes to Alpine as well. Andy Andre, successful in the Aston Martin, but this season will be in the Williams car. Then Skid Solo, moving from the Ferrari outfit to the Williams one as well. Rush Nasiri the only real driver swap, you could say, from Mercedes to VCarb. You could technically call that a swap with Herman there. Wonder if he'll find any success with the current Constructors' Championship. Quan goes from Mercedes, though, all the way to VCarb to join Rush the Series. Evor and Quincy, one from Ferrari, the other from Williams, I think it was. They will both go to the Kick Sauber, and then Enzo goes from Kick Sauber to Haas, and Jolly Boy John from the Williams outfit goes to the Haas. And now we will cut to the race feed, because what a timing on that. Couldn't have been any better. We are now going to begin our first qualifying session of Season 4. So here we go. We are now going to be underway for some action here on track. And now, of course, just to kind of bring you up to speed, in case if it is your first time watching league racing on F124, or maybe any league racing in general, first of all, thank you for choosing to spend your evening with me. It is an absolute delight to have you along. I will try and guide you along the way as best as I possibly can. But we need to kind of get through what happened last time in Imola. So it was Wouter who took the win, Snake in second, Danger David in third, but pole and the fastest lap went to Herman the German, a pole lap time of a 1:14.875. Expect to see that be beat today. And a fastest lap of a 1:15.875. So only a second separating pole and the fastest lap. I'm not surprised. We do expect those to be close. Now, when Daryl was racing in SSRL, or whenever he does race in SSRL, he actually usually is the one to go out first. So everybody will be keeping an eye on Daryl. But fellow son cannot make it today. So he is currently being replaced by Venaboy. Sadly got into some antics last season in the last 2 races. So he's very much on a last chance saloon. And is that Daryl right on cue? It certainly is. He is making his way out of the pit lane, and he will be ready to go. So he will lead the field on to their first flyers. Let's bring a bit more information up onto our screen. Let's bring the track map on. Let's enable some lap data as well. And there you go. We are seeing nobody else follow Daryl for the time being. Daryl gonna be the one to observe the track. Is it grippy enough to get our fastest lap? I highly doubt it. We should see other people and other drivers come through the timing sheets as the session goes on. It is still very early stages with a minute knocked out. One of the Red Bulls has now decided to get moving, and we will see them in a couple of moments' time, I am certain. We will see which one of those made their way out, and at the moment we still don't have that information, and it is Moksha. Moksha making very good impressions in his reserve driver races last season, and has been granted a full-time seat here. Let's see what kind of impression he can make. We have very little data on him as of right now. And of course, making their way as well is Enzo. Enzo actually had a torrid run in the Season 3. Out of the 12 races that took place, it is currently, well, he was on 8 and did not finishes on 8, or well, sorry, let me rephrase that. So he either didn't start or didn't finish 8 times last season. So Enzo very much looking to get full back, as is the Haas outfit as well. Trugster shared a similar fate to Enzo last season, as we are seeing Daryl get away on his flying lap. Oh, Dave commentating today? Yup, sirree. Certainly commentating on SSRL. And we are watching Daryl begin the first flyer of Season 4 in SSRL. It should be Moksha, who's not too far behind either. Just looking at Probo's track up, he's just gone through the final corner as we speak. And well, Evor is an early retirement, so has had an accident coming into the chicane. And I think that is Aqua Minerale, if I've got that correctly. I'll just have a quick check for you now. It's, well, it's certainly called something. We're not too sure, but that's turns 14 and 15, that tight chicane just coming through here now. So Evor, your first retiree of Season 4. Unfortunate for him. So will be confirmed to start at the back of the field, and with just under 15 minutes to go. That's kind of your first headline of the session so far. We just need to see what Daryl will do. Daryl wasn't actually too bad last season either. He was quite consistent most of the time, but was more in the mid-table, and he will set a 1:15.780. And compared to the pole time last time they were here, which would be back on F123, that's 9 tenths behind, so we'll see how that goes. But Moksha will be the next to complete a lap. Bit squirrely there into turns 14 and 15. One of the tightest chicanes on the F1 calendar. Come on, a tour. I don't know who you're talking about there, but I assume that's going to say Aston Martin also. Hello, Marno. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. But we're seeing Moksha go through the final corner now, Lavazza. And let's see what the time is. It's 4 tenths faster than Daryl, so Moksha jumps to pole right away. Enzo has, unfortunately, invalidated the lap, so we now need to see who is going to be completing. At the moment, it looks to be as... Oh, no. Unfortunately, that was also invalidated. One of the Red Bulls also, going on to their flying lap. That was a race chase there. So it's one of the Kick Saubers. That will be of Quincy, of course. His teammate has already retired from the session through turns 14, 15. And that is a 1:16.464 from Quincy there. Unfortunately, he spent most of his time at the back, as there you go. Your current world champion on screen right now with a 1:14.8, half a second away. And at the moment, we need to see who are potential championship contenders in Rush Nassiri and Herman the German. Of course, Rush Nassiri and Herman basically swapping Rush Nassiri off to the V-Carb outfit, who, of course, are your current Constructors champions. Well, Herman finished runner-up in the championship after contact with this very driver. Went and dive bombing into turn 1 in Saudi Arabia. And unfortunately, that was the end of their race. Well, that was the end of the championship for him. And that's what gifted Andy the second championship in a row here at SSRL. So can anybody bring the fight to him? I would expect a couple of the drivers to at least try and make an effort, especially... I think I would look at Rush Nassiri, especially. Sadly, threw his championship away in Singapore. Just couldn't quite control the car on brakes. Liked to lock the rears quite a lot, but Rush Nassiri abandons the lap for one reason or another. And we'll have to wait for him to go again. Moksha is already on a flyer, it seems, and already a 10th up on his personal best. We need to see who else is on the track, though. Kwan is missing a front wing there. So this will not be a good lap. In fact, I'm sure he'll just come straight into the pits. You do lose time when you're repairing damage in qualifying, so you do not want that. I do believe Vedaboy is probably serving a qualifying ban, or might have served all of it already, which I think has been done, although if Quincy is in chat, he can double check that with me. But anyway, to talk about the championship, so went down to the final round. Rush Nassiri sadly lost all of his ground in Monaco, and it was about a 9-point separation between Andy and Herman. Herman was, of course, in the lead initially, and up until 2 laps to go after a safety car restart, it looked like the championship was his, but sadly, Rush Nassiri came diving into turn 1 and took Herman out. Spun him around. Herman was able to continue, and after a 4-car pile-up towards the end of the session, as we see Pleasant Stake go up to 3rd place there. Moksha as well improved. Is only 2 tenths behind Andy now, but I'm sure Andy has more in the tank there, and you're starting to see the kind of tyres we are seeing people on. Of course, Jolly Boy John, now talking about him, sharing, of course, teammate duties with Herman last season, has a new teammate in Enzo, and he'll honestly be hoping that Enzo has a better track record. Really did help VCARB seal that Constructors Championship early last season around, and was very instrumental in doing so. Mostly finished in the top 10 and just had a good time of things in that V-Carb. So obviously the Haas outfit going to be very new for him. We'll see how he settles in. Who is going to be coming across the line? One of the Williams cars is Andy Andre. Actually just comes out for a flyer. And now we are seeing the Aston Martin of Daryl actually get things underway. And you know what? It is pretty close between the top 5. I think Daryl's starting another lap. I think Enzo is currently half a tenth down in Sector 2. So let's stay with this for the time being. But at the moment, no real surprise here. We also have a few drivers yet to complete a lap, especially Russ Nassiri, Herman the German, and Trugster as well. Trugster in that Ferrari outfit. And Enzo improves up into 4th, but not really a whole lot to speak of with the time there. So we'll cut right back to Daryl there, trying to qualify for, well, what could be an epic result. Now, of course, this time last season, we were in Silverstone, and we actually saw a shock pole position from Pleasant Snake there, in the McLaren, and Andy went on to retire due to floor damage. So he is really, I really hope, well, hoping here, as Pleasant Stake again, that first round curse seems to be working well for him so far. Currently up into third, only 3/10 away from the leading time. This could be, oh, we could be on for another shock result. But then again, Moksha, for the first time in a full-time seat, he would be great there to have him on top as well, as Daryl completes his time, only good for 4th position. Sadly, not much of an improvement from him. So that all comes out, and there you go. That's kind of the traffic you are expected to come up against. As now Herman the German has just started his flyer as well, and will have the same issue going into turn 1 as Daryl did. But Daryl now up into 4th, while Herman yet to set a lap time. So, of course, one to keep an eye out is Herman. One of your championship contenders, won in Season 1, but Season 2 of 3 have very much gone to the Romanian of Andy here. So Herman looking to make a point of things in a new team. It's a fresh start for him, and he has a solid teammate in Tarkangino, although solid is very much dependent on how you look at it. Tarkangino with a 1:17.0 compared to the leader's lap time. That's 2.2 seconds off, and Andy has also started a flyer, so not too far off behind either. There is a yellow flag out as Skid Solo has completed his time as well, 1:17.117, and Skid Solo was very much running at the back last season, so not much changing there, as now one of the Aston Martins having to get out of the way of the Mercedes of Herman here. And also now coming up to Rivata, the final 2 corners, making up 8 turns, 18 and 19 on this circuit. Of course, this circuit was consistently used from 1980 till 2006, and then was the Formula 1 circuits left as Herman the German only up into 7th there, but half a second away from Andy's pole time. But Andy improving up 2/10, and there you go. That's what Andy Andre can produce when the pressure cooker's high. But Trugster up into 2nd place, nearly 4.5 tenths off, and this could be good for him. Oh, hello, Countdown. Thank you for the lurk as well. So at the moment, Trugster trying to, well, get rid of those 8 DNFs and did not start. And he would just love to put last season behind him. One of the ones that really struggled with the game. Energetic 6, though, in the podium all the way back in Baku in Season 3. Hoping to have a bit of better luck here. Was mostly around, in and around, well, either in or outside the top 10, but unfortunately invalidates that lap. We'll go to Rush the Series now, who of course finished in the bronze medal position of 3rd place. Mr. Walter, of course, in 4th place last season as well. As there you go, somebody has jumped, and that, I believe, is Race Chase. No, it is not, but there you go, Rush the Series to pole position. Only just under 1/10 of a second is now in pole position on a fresh set of soft tyres as well. Not bad at all from Rush there. Andy will be scratching his head thinking, oh, I've got a contender on my hands now. Well, you might have a few more, because Moksha out on his outlap now. We'll see how he does, but Herman, I think, has gone for another run. He indeed has. Still, well, out on fresher soft, so he's come into the pits and gone on to another set there, and already up by, well, only half a hundredth on his personal best. We'll keep an eye on his time. But at the moment, Jolly Boy John in 10th position, and at the moment, we still have 3 drivers needing to complete laps. Vedaboy, the reserve, very much on a last chance saloon at the moment, needs to keep himself out of trouble. And at the moment is just approaching turns 14 and 15 and just letting drivers get out of the way, being better safe than sorry. But now, approaching the last 2 corners, it's Rivatsa, Jolly Boy John, coming through right now, abandoning the lap, so he will not improve. We will now cut to Herman the German, currently in 8th place. Most drivers ahead of him have pitted. Rush the Series on an in-lap as well. Herman German, runner-up last time out. Can he get runner-up in qualifying? Opens the DRS at the very last second. It's 4th place, a 1:15.0. The exact same time as Trugster punches him up into 4th. And I think Herman will be happy with that, because that at least brings him in touch. But just over half a second to Rush the Series in front. But more importantly, just under half a second to Andy Andre in 2nd place. Moksha, though, trying to complete a lap here. Half a tenth down on his personal best in Sector 1. The Red Bull driver, of course, going from reserve to full-time. in this team, and what a team to do it in, especially considering, well, how they were dominating Formula 1 at one point in real life, but now very much are coming second best to McLaren. But of course, this isn't real life, and of course, the Red Bull team, very reputable in the world of Formula 1. But at the moment, we are looking at SSRL, the virtual world of racing, and at the moment, Rivatsa is being attacked by the Red Bull of Moksha. Now on to the start-finish straight. Get around this little kink, which counts as turn 20. And that is all the way up to third position for Moksha. I can't predict where this is going to go, but things are looking extremely familiar. Bar one driver, and also Pleasant Stake as well. Can he find a way to upset the apple cart? We have Daryl approaching the end of his flying lap. What can he produce with just under 5 minutes to go? It is fourth place. So the field are starting to come together. Herman will go for another set of softs, I believe, with just, well, not even under 5 minutes to go, 3.5 minutes to go. This qualifying session has flown by. My word, as Quincy as well is also on a flyer and is actually 7/10 up. No, he isn't. He's just started his flyer, so ignore what I've just said. But Vedaboy has just come across the line now with a 1:19.515, the slowest of all the runners there. And Vedaboy needing to find some time sooner rather than later. Maybe he was impeded somewhere, but I just highly doubt it. That's nearly 5 seconds. In fact, just over 5 seconds to the leader there. That is not the pace you want to be exhibiting if you're trying to keep your seat. Energetic. Going through sector 2, but I think must be on an outlap because he's only... he's in the 1 minute 10s, but it's only just coming through Aqua Minerale. So that's Aqua Minerale. Thank you very much, Track Map, for telling me that. And now through turns 15 and 14. And there you go. He's now the only one not to set a time. One of the drivers just jumped the timing screens, and it was... I'm trying to identify who it was, actually. I think it was Kovachka there, but don't quote me on that. I'll probably have to go back and look at that. But I believe that was Quan, actually. So with a 1:17.266, still not really improving his pace, but now Energetic will get things done with a 1:46. Deary me, Energetic 6. So that was a validated lap, wasn't an outlap at all. So it must have been a cooldown lap. So something must have happened within moments of Sector 1 when we went on board. I don't know if he was trying to get out of the way of somebody on a flying lap. A bit of a lock-up there as we go through turns 5 and 6, which we call the Villeneuve round here. And now, going up to that long turn 7 of Tosa. And at the moment, Energetic just at the moment trying to set a time, and he's going sideways through that uphill left-hander and loses it. And, well, he'll have time to set another lap, but it is going to be really tight now. And Andy Andre is up 3/10 on his personal best, and that will be enough for pole position. We will stay with this lap time as it is right now, but at the moment, I say that, but now one of the Williams is, well, coming across the line. That would be, well, even on the Aston Martins, I think that's Daryl there. No improvement for him, so we'll cut back to Andy Andre for now. I'm just keeping an eye on how things are running. Both the McLarens running at the back of the field, 18th and 19th. McLaren team from a win last season in Silverstone to right at the back of the field for them. That is going to be utter heartbreak for the Papaya outfit. And now we are seeing Andrew come across the line. This will be the last time to set a lap, so we'll rush the series. Will Moksha, or will Daryl have a... In fact, Moksha has stayed in the pits, but there you go, Andy Andre. It's only a 10th, you know. That is not a lot. That is not a lot at all compared to how he can really drive. So Rush the series has been at work in practice in these 2 weeks. But it's Daryl off the track and invalidating the lap. Can he perhaps try and get everything recharged? There's not much time left, only about 20 seconds, as now Rush the series is on a lap, but very wide. No, he can't. That's it. I think, unless if some miracle was to happen, it's Andy Andre on pole again. A very familiar sight, but what does Enzo have in the tank? And most of the backfield have decided not to go out again. Well, Moksha the only one at the moment, but Enzo is currently next to complete a lap. There is a field of cars behind him. There is Trugster behind him as well. Enzo currently in 5th place. The Haas seemingly a better fit for him than the Kick Sauber of last season. But at the moment, I don't know if this lap will be enough to knock Andy off of pole position. A very familiar sight indeed. Rush the series just going too hard into turns 5 and 6, but here we go. It is a 1:49, so that is at least 4th position, but Trugster abandons the lap. Herman is on an invalidated lap, so that will be no further action from him, and Pleasant Snake invalidated as well, so it's Andy Andre pretty much picking up from where he left off. 1st position goes to him, and Andy Andre will be very happy about that indeed. What a lap yet again at the death, and Rush the Series just trying a bit too hard there. Was not able to reproduce any sort of result, so that would mean the end of him. But there you go, Andy Andre yet again, champion in Season 3 and Season 2 of course, and very much deciding to say, you know what, I don't know, winning's not boring for me. Dominating the field is not really boring enough for me. So, it is all said and done. I also just want to say hello to absolutely nobody. Don't worry about it. So that's all said and done. But anyway, here is your lineup for the race. Andy RJ in pole position, Rush the Series in 2nd place, Moksha in 3rd in the Red Bull, Enzo 4th, Daryl 5th, Trugster 6th, 7th is Herman, Pleasant Snake in 8th, Jolly Boy John 9th, Danger David rounding out your 10 drivers, Quincy in 11th, Race Chase 12th, Kovačka 13th, Toby 14th, Tarkan Gino 15th, Skid Solo 16th, Quan 17th, Fader Boy 18th, 19th, Energetic 6th, and in 20th, and due to a DNF, it's Evor down in 20th. And now we will just take a few minutes break, and we will be right back with you very, very shortly. And we will, well, take it from there. So a few minutes between the race, quali, and the race. And basically also Quincy saying to everyone, have a good race. But I think we're now going to take some time away. At least I think we are, unless we're going to get straight into it. If I hear otherwise, I will let you know. But we will cut to the synthwave. And we will be right back. Just a bit of an update for you on the ready time. We'll be back at 7:58, so that's 5 minutes for those in different time zones. 5 minutes, and now make that 4 minutes. 58, we will be back. Well, we've had somebody ready up early, and that is, of course, against the rules. So sadly, everybody needs to come back a bit earlier than stated. So now we are going to have to go through our grid countdown a little earlier than we wanted to, but it is what it is. I'm glad I had that up there ready to go. So, of course, they will get I think it is a qualifying ban for readying up early. And so they'll have to live with that. But anyway, on pole position and in a very familiar position, it is Andy Andre in first, obviously. And at the moment, as I try and get that off my screen, it is Rush the Siri in second place. Moksha in third. Of course, as we see somebody go on the gravel there, that is the V-Carb of Rush the Siri there. Struggling already, but Enzo in a really good position of fourth place. Daryl in fifth place. Trugster in new to the Ferrari outfit in sixth. Herman the German seventh. Pleasant Snake eighth. Jolly Boy John in ninth. Danger David in 10th. SSRL Quincy, the league admin, in 11th. Won't be happy with what's just happened. Race Chase in 12th place. Kovachka 13th, still catching up to the field. So yeah, he was caught out by the start as well. Toby in 14th. Tark and Gino in 15th. Skid Solo 16th. Quan 17th. Vedaboy in 18th. SSRL Energetic 6th, 19th, and Evor down in 20th due to not finishing in qualifying. But now we take this to predictions. Who will be out on top by the end of this round? Well, you'll have to stick around and find out. But if you've got Andy Andre, Russashiri, or Moksha, you're about in the right ballpark. Don't count Herman out either. Starting on the hard compound of tyres, this is not unusual for him. His race pace really does outdo his quali pace, so I do think Herman won't be out of this either. But Trugster, if he's worked on those DNFs and worked on those penalties, he'll be okay. But now we're already seeing 3 drivers be disqualified from the, well, not disqualified from the race, but disqualified from the warm-up lap, and that means your tyres will be stone cold, and unfortunately that's not really what you want when starting out. So Herman may be able to jump a couple of positions, but for Trugster, who's been struggling to even finish races, of course, with 8, did not start as a DNFs throughout last season, that will not be helpful. But anyway, here we go. But season 4 will begin in 5 lights time. Let's go for a new season, and Andy Andre gets us underway, and at the moment doesn't seem to be under that much pressure. The camera finally cuts back, but it's side by side for the lead, and it's Rush the Siri in the lead going into turn 1, and he's kept it round the outside. Andy loses it. There's a Ferrari squirreling off in the background. There might be a concertina effect in play, but Quincy's also up 1. The Ferraris, well, from a strong position to 8th and 9th, that will not help, but Quincy up 1, and he'll be thankful for that. But Andy now down to 2nd position, despite trying to defend. Evor and Skid Solo are having a bit of a race. There's a bit of contact, a bit of squirrely going out of the tight left-hander of Tosa. And unfortunately, there might have been a bit of carbon fiber there, but Daryl going side by side with Enzo, round the outside into Aqua Minerale. How can he pull this off? Can he? He can, but he was off the track, so he might need to give that back. Herman as well is up 1 position. Jolly Boy John up a couple of positions himself. How have they kept that round the outside? The Haas is forced off. They are still going to be side by side. I want to see that battle. Here we go. Down into Rivats, and now it is the Aston Martin who is stubborn and keeps it there for as long as he possibly could. And Trugster takes advantage of the momentum loss from Jolly Boy John and gets up into 7th place. And now we've had a bit of an incident because Evor is back down to where he started. Rush the Siri, of course, with the fastest lap of the race. And of course, because he was West Coast line, and that's a bit of a moment on the sausage curbs. You don't want that too often. Herman now up a position as well with great straight line speed. So Enzo from 4th to 6th in 1 lap, and he's on the medium tyres. That is a bit of a surprise there, as now Danger David has overtaken Quincy there. So Quincy going from 10th to 12th as well. Not being good for him at all. And, well, there was a bit of a snap there from David there in the Alpine. That's allowed a couple of drivers through of Quincy and Race Chase. Well, he has time to get those 2 positions back. Just needs to put his head down and get focused in. But at the moment, the top three have remained all together, and only just under a second as Enzo with the first 3-second track limits penalty. Expect those to come at some rate of knots now, because as soon as one falls, the others usually follow, as Kovachka there makes a bit of contact with Snake, going through turns 14 and 15. And through into ninth now and is trying to chase Jolly Boy John. But here we go. DRS will now be activated. Moksha needs to stay with this if he wants a chance to win. But Truckster has now had a chance to get past both Enzo and Jolly Boy John, and now has DRS for good measure. And he gets back past into the lead using DRS on the start-finish straight. Moksha able to stay with it, but the top two on medium tyres. So Moksha might be able to come in and influence this battle towards at the end of the stint. Now, I do expect medium runners to pit in the mid-teens, so about lap 15, as Rush the Series has already lost some ground there to Andy Andre. So Andy Andre not messing around and getting on with life as it is, but Herman will want to make quick work of this, as now we are seeing an entertaining battle yet again for 8th, 9th and 10th. It is all going wrong for Enzo. He has dropped well down the order. Has he got some sort of damage that we can't see? In fact, he is missing his front right end plate there on his front wing, so that will not be helping him, his cornering grip. And that, sadly, will mean he is dropping down the order. He's losing aerodynamic performance as he goes through the corners, but now the top three beginning to separate out. But Herman still staying with this as well, but he's battling for fourth with Daryl, and Daryl having a good race. These two are just kind of keeping it out of trouble, as now we're seeing Jolly Boy John in the background, and Herman, well, he won't be welcoming the sight this time around, as now Andy RJ with the fastest lap of a 1:16.671. So Andy now starting to run away with proceedings, but now just German have a go. Herman at the very least, yes he does, round the outside. And there you go, into turn one. He's got fourth place all secure. And now we'll begin to chase down third place of Moksha. Now Daryl, Energetic 6 even in the background as well. We're seeing a bunch of overtakes happen at the same time, side by side, from turns 1, 2, 3. What about 4 and 5? Aston Martin round the outside, Ferrari rounding it, well, what became the inside to the outside, and got Constantino's into the cars, into the back there. Entertaining battling going on here for 8th position. Of course, you score points as long as you're in the top 15, and even Deja David in the background there is swapping positions with Race Chase. So this has become a 5-car battle for one position, as Skid Solo and Race Chase are now swapping position as well. This is great stuff. Top 5 at the moment have buffered out. Well, the top 6, I would say, and it's all kind of, this is where the entertainment is as of right now. Herman trying to make an impression of that top 10, as now Toby is the second driver to fall for a 3-second penalty. We've had 4 laps out of 32. It's very much been as you were for Andy Andre and Rush the Series. Rush the Series taking the lead on the first lap, but lost it under DRS circumstances and has sadly had to pretty much fall back ever since. And Moksha actually just kind of keeping the gap fair as Deja David, Enzo into the pits to replace that damaged front wing. What will he go on to? But we'll have to cut away for the moment, as now we are seeing a swap for Truckster. Well, Pleasant Snake even. Truckster all the way to... Oh, and there was a bit of a slide there from the kick of Quincy there. What will that do to his momentum going into 4 and 5? Absolutely nothing at all. Deja David not close enough to have a go through there. Those are a tight couple of corners, so if you get it wrong, it is absolute disaster. But Herman has now, well, got within that 1-second bubble to Moksha in front, but has carried Darrell with him as Jolly Boy John with a 3-second penalty, the third driver to fall to that, to fall victim to the track limits here in Imola, and is now, struggling in 6th and has Truckster for company at the back. So Truckster beginning to catch up with SSRL now. Energetic even gets a 3-second penalty himself. So unfortunately, it's all beginning to go a little wrong. But Herman also very much picking up where he left off. I remember in Monza, same country as this track, of course, went out and actually started 16th and recovered all the way to 4th. And I just thought to myself, you know, as Moksha now gets 2nd place, takes it away from Rush the Series. And I wonder if those hards are coming into effect, but now Herman is not too far behind either. Darrell has dropped out of that DRS bubble, but now for 10th place, Quincy and David have swapped positions, as now Energetic is also having a go at the Red Bull driver into turn 1, and that move gets all done. But at the moment, Herman showing the race pace that he displayed like we thought he would. And is at the moment from 7th to 4th and has just been chipping away at things very slowly as Skid Solo and Energetic fight for 12th place here. We're witnessing this through turn number 6. Now through turn 7, does everything stay as it is? Yeah, that McLaren gets the move done, as now Quincy is the next driver. Another 3-second penalty, but now we have to cut to the podium positions, as now Moksha is under pressure from the V-Cop and the Mercedes behind. So will he get mugged by 2? But Siri with a 3-second penalty. That's not going to be a good start to his season at all. And in the fight for the championship, that may not help. So it really is damage limitation throughout the rest of the evening. Now nearly 3 seconds to the lead in second place. Herman makes a move on Rush the Siri early as you like. And now up into 1 2-for-1 deal. Herman gets that done. And the lead, and well, the table looks like it came straight out of the championship for last season. Your top two are Andy Andre and Herman the German. And Herman is exploiting great pace from this race so far. Already got that gap down to under a tenth, 2.8 seconds, but a bit wide there on the exit, so that momentum will have been a bit affected there. But now for Rush the Siri, it goes from good news bears to bad news bears. Although he'd only dropped down to 5th, this isn't what he wants if there's a safety car to come. And you know things in F124 aren't always secure. You will always have a chance at a safety car, but Herman just staying consistent at the moment and is, well, slowly catching up to Andy RJ. But I think Andy's seen what's happened and is starting to get his foot down. That gap has increased to over 3 seconds as we speak, and Herman, well, at least getting away from 3rd place Moksha, so he'll be happy with this. But I think Moksha will be happy with how proceedings have gone so far in this top 5 battle. Easier said than done, as now Quincy is already trying to make a move back on Kvachka despite his 3-second penalty, locking up into Ravazza. And now I think Race Chase might even try and have a go at this. Let's just have a quick look, because look at that battle which of Constantina together. Quad, of course, teammate to Rush the Series, all the way in the background. But here we go, Quincy and no, it's Kvachka and Race Chase do a battle again as Quincy is overtaken by the McLaren. For 10th place is Better Boy with a 3-second penalty for track limit warnings. And his race goes from bad to a skid. Solo, the next driver, and virtual safety car deployed for a spun out Haas of Jolly Boy John. No front wing for him. So virtual safety car now, of course, what this means is that the drivers do have to follow a delta as Better Boy now retires from the session. He's had enough. And, well, I'm going to leave that up to Quincy to see whether he comes back or not. That's not my decision to make. But now we have to wonder what's going to happen now. Herman trying to push the limits of his delta, and it's got under the 2-second mark of Andy in front. Truckster with a 3-second penalty for track limit warnings under virtual safety car. Truckster? Really? Okay. Sure thing. I mean, it's happened to other drivers. I should exclusively pick on him. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Trug. I know I bully you a lot, but I just expect good things from you. That's all. But anyway, at the moment, Andy Andre comfortably leading the way since lap number 3 in all reality, and has really had the track to himself. Only really has Herman to worry about in the background. No pit stops have been taken as Vetter Boy has now left the session, as Jolly Boy John now follows suit into the pits for him under virtual safety car. And I'm wondering, why didn't Herman try and take that opportunity? Well, one, there's no tyre that could really go to the end. Do you want to try 24 laps on these medium tyres? I wouldn't do that, to be honest with you. As now Moksha has had a brief position swap with Rush the Siri in the background. As we are now under racing conditions again. But Daryl will be happy with this. He's like, oh, I've got a fight for a podium. Hey, yo, let's see what I can do here. As now Herman has really got that gap up to 3rd place. So at the moment, he's in a race of his own, and 2.3 seconds separate him and Andy Andre as of right now. But at the moment, I want to be looking at this battle we are seeing. We are being spoiled to, and this was for 8th position initially, but now it's 9th as Pleasant Stake has begun to run away from that pack and has now caught up to Danger David in 7th. And Danger David as well having a good race. We are used to seeing him chip away at things very slowly, very much like Herman, but very much if you're just fighting for the top 10, as Jolly Boy John is on the intermediates. Has he got data that we don't have access to? It has gone overcast here in Imola, so I'm just wondering if that's what's going on, as Rush the Siri has now made a move for third position on Moksha. It won't matter in the grand scheme of things. I'm just wondering if they're trying to bring that gap down to Herman slowly but surely, as now Quincy is, well, up to 9th on Energetic there. So I think Energetic and Quincy working together to try and make sure that they can separate themselves from the pack ahead. But at the moment, a lot of battles are developing nicely here. We have a battle for the lead that's developing under 2 seconds now. We have a battle for 9th place, which has also been developing quite nicely. But at the moment, of course, the drivers in 9th and 10th, which are Quincy and Energetic, both have 3-second track limit penalties, so it won't be comfortable for them at this stage of the race. They are going to be hoping that other drivers around them succumb to the same punishment, but very, very unlikely considering the consistency we've seen from Race Chase in the past there. It's very hard to knock him off track. But at the moment now, Race Chase kind of needs to do what he keeps doing. As long as he can keep this up, including pit stops, he might be up to 9th here as ever as well. A 2-time race winner last season has had a moment there. For some reason, is now slowing right down. Has he got a puncture of some sort? No, I think he just skipped the chicane. That would make a lot of sense, but now Enzo has another 3-second penalty as Quincy is off into the pits on those hards. Very optimistic. What tyre is he going on to? Let's keep an eye on this as drivers sort themselves out thanks to this pit stop. There is a replacement front wing for one of, as we are now seeing Wayne. So in actual fact, the call from Jolly Boy John was an intelligent one, because now we are seeing under a second to the lead. We are seeing very similar conditions to what we saw in the race in 2021. Of course, we know who ended up in the barrier there. 2 drivers of George Russell and Valtteri Bottas. Of course, one would replace the other in that Mercedes outfit, but now Herman has caught all the way up to Andy Andre. Is he going to make a move into Ravazza? Let's stay with this. 2 tenths separating them both. Andy feeling the pressure in the wet. But at the moment, it all stays as it was through Ravazza. But will these two both pit, or will one stay out? They both stay out. It's incredibly risky stuff. Herman with the DRS coming up to turn number 1 now. And will he get this done? Yes, round the outside, doesn't need the corner at all. Andy loses track position and Daryl makes a move for third on Moksha. So that is 4 genuine position. Rush the Siri in the background there with a penalty. So he's very much out of this as things stand right now. But Andy RJ there losing the lead thanks to the changing conditions. And now Race Chase is up to 9th as well. Quincy onto the intermediates now. Will this rain go till the end of the race, or is it just a passing shower? That'll be the other question, but at the moment it is just light rain, as you can see on your screen. Just a bit of pitter-patter in all honesty. But at the moment now, anybody who's just made a pit stop will not be happy, because they have to go and make another one to be on fresher tyres. It's now Rush the Siri with another 3-second penalty, so isn't even going from bad to worse in the V-Carb outfit. But at the moment, as at least just about, well, he will be ahead of Truckster because he's got a 3-second penalty himself, as we have a brief yellow flag there. And, well, everything continues on as it was, but that is Truckster's teammate Pleasant State getting by, so he's had a moment coming out of Aqua Minerale, and unfortunately for him, down to 8th, and now is brought within to a new battle. Pleasant State will be happy with this, though, as Rush the Siri into the pits. Must be changing for wet tyres. Herman, the German, and Andy do not pit yet again. So I wonder if this rain will be short-lived. But at the moment, Moksha and Daryl are giving us an entertaining fight as well. The top 10 were giving us a fight, but now everybody's coming into the pit lane. And so that's going to have to sort itself out eventually. But we'll see if this rain will stick around. Herman now up 2 seconds on Andy Andre. And boy, what gracious payback this will be for the now Mercedes driver. Of course, made the move from V-Carb to Merc this season. And, well, it's working out for him. So far, so good. Started 7th on the grid. And is at the moment leading the race by quite some margin as well. If fellow Sun was here, how he would be loving this. Of course, Vedaboy took his place, but Vedaboy unable to finish the race. Doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Unfortunately, if you are a reserve, you are not able to score constructors' points, so you are in it for yourself, and Vedaboy sadly hasn't made any sort of impression, so I don't know if we'll be seeing him again, to be honest. It's probably unlikely, but now Moksha and Daryl will do battle yet again, coming to the start-finish line as we see Toby with a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. I just want to look at some of the totals. Toby with 6 seconds, Enzo with 9 seconds, my word. But now Moksha to the inside in turn number 1. Unable to get that done. A bit slippery now. The track's starting to gain moisture. And it's all going wrong. But Energetic up 12 positions. But that will only be because of... pit stops being made. And of course he has a penalty to serve. And now half the fields are on intermediates. Chugster has also followed suit. Will this be the right call? Because you would usually see the leaders coming into the pit lane to try and gain some sort of advantage on the rest. But at the moment, that's not how it's worked out. So is this going to be a passing shower? It's still here as of right now. A couple of battles on track as well. We've got one for 7th position between Race Chase and Energetic. But of course, take that with a pinch of salt due to the penalty that the McLaren driver has. And as we approach, well, we are 2 laps away from half distance. It has been one heck of a barnstormer thus far. Lots of chaotic overtaking, 1 virtual safety car, no full safety cars as of right now. And we love to see that. It's not neutralised any of the racing, but it also has not been boring either. But look at this, Andy RJ losing ground. And Moksha now dives into the pit lane. So Daryl now has a chance at 2nd place, but of course... how is Moksha going to work out when it comes to position behind Pleasant Lake? Of course, he needs to be ahead of Rush the Series. That's the most important one. I think he'll be okay. Yeah, he'll be all right. He should be ahead, but it is, well, it's going to be a bit closer than the Red Bull driver would like. His teammate has just overtaken. In fact, no. Rush the Series will just about get ahead. There you go. The Red Bull on the right. Well, now, the Red Bull on the left, now the V-Carb on the right, and there you go. That's the undercut in effect, but of course, Rush the Series has unfortunately got a 6-second penalty for track limit violations. And speaking of 6 seconds, that's the gap to the lead and 2nd place. And Daryl is now caught to Andy RJ, so another nightmare start to the season. But of course, this won't be as bad as the last time I'm out because he had to retire altogether due to floor damage. At least he's in the running here. And sometimes there's Andy RJ with a mistake into 14 and 15. That allows Daryl through into 2nd place. And this is his best race in SSRL so far. But Herman is uncomfortable on those hard tyres. He's not really losing any ground to the drivers around him, as now halfway distance is made. And Andy, who led so much of this race, is now in deep trouble because he will surely be undercut by both the Siri and Moksha, as Dage David now up into 3rd himself. But all this is with a great assault. There's been a moment with Race Chase in Rivatsa. And while we will continue racing, he's got that car underway. It's now Danger David with a 3-second penalty for track limits. He's not the only driver struggling with those. The yellow flag is cleared, but Race Chase needs to come into the pits. And now, where is Andy RJ? On hard tyres. Oh no, it goes from bad to worse for Andy. But now he has also been undercut by both the V-Carb and Red Bull driver. Andy RJ just can't catch a break in his round 1s. He will not be happy with how this has gone down, and now surely to win this race will be a miracle. You can see how Daryl is struggling with grip, and Herman in comparison is okay. He's doing extremely well for himself. Of course, I did see him at the end of last season. I went onto his Twitch stream just briefly. It's how Chugster has made a move on Toby, both sharing track limit penalties with 9 seconds now. Flipping X, so Moksha has got that position all but secured, unless if something dramatic was to happen. And now Herman still going on those hards. How is he doing that? That is genius driving from the Mercedes, as now Dage David can't really keep it on track any longer. He goes into the pits. Of course, he just earned himself a 3-second penalty for track limits. So it's all coming apart for some drivers, especially Andy though. What will Andy do? Will he remain on those hards? Or will he come into the pits for the intermediates? At the moment now, thanks to the pit stops from David, Pleasant Snake and Energetic, positions are now starting to fall. But I think Andy Andre did that on purpose. He's on the hard tyre, on a fresher set, but it's now got a couple of drivers to get past. Well, make that a few, because now he's over 20 seconds to the lead of the race. Let's just get the interval up for you. For the leader, there you go, 40 seconds to the leader, losing a lot of time. So it is going to be interesting to see if he can make that gap back up. But at the moment, it's all looking safe and well for Herman. Although as soon as I say that, he starts drifting into Rivatsa. So those hard tyres look like they are becoming undone. Is he going to come into the pits? Yes, he is. So it looks like intermediates are the tyre to be on. Will Daryl wave out the storm? I don't think so. As now Pleasant Snake will be thinking, do I have Andy Andre in front of me, the current champion in SSRL? Yes, you do, Pleasant Snake, and you can go for it. He has messed up his pit stop, and you might just have a chance at a top 6 here. And what a start to the season that would be for you as Daryl and Herman make their way into the pits. Herman on those intermediate tyres. Does he get out ahead of Moksha and Rush the Siri? Moksha still with that DRS advantage, but Herman, it's gonna be close, but it won't be close enough for Rush the Siri because Herman still leads the way as of right now, and Moksha, well, he's just gonna have to settle for second for the time being. Let's see if he can put a charge on to the Mercedes of Herman in front there, and Daryl comes out just ahead of Danger David. But Andy, well, he won't be happy with how this has gone, leading the race, and now all of a sudden he's on the back foot again, very much like it was last season. So I guess he'll welcome the challenge as now Race Chase is improving positions. We're seeing pit stops from Quincy and Tark and Gino in the background, going on to a fresh set of intermediates themselves. We have a caution in sector 1 for a spun round Ferrari. That is of Trugster. Trugster again has the qualifying pace, but when it comes to the race, unfortunately, he just doesn't seem to quite have what it takes. Penalties galore, and, well, mistakes galore as well. It always comes undone for him. Can he get this sorted out? Because now this problem has carried over from Season 3 into Season 4. And now Kovachka actually making a move there on track. The overtake there. We haven't seen one of those for a while. So now he gets a 3-second penalty to boot. So now, sadly, loses his no penalty advantage. But now Pleasant Snake is cashing to Andy Andre there. I didn't have that on my bingo card when we began this evening. But as of right now, it looks like that's the way it's heading. Now Andy has to pit again. DRS is now disabled from race control, which means the track is wet. And now Andy has to pit again. And surely this will land him outside the top 10. Maybe even worse, and Toby will have to pit as well. He surely can't survive on those hards. Give him credit for trying, but unfortunately it's just not worked out at all. And well, actually, I think Andy has been a bit lucky here, as he'll only be 11th when he comes out of the pits. So thanks to just the gaps forming around him, he's actually kind of been given a get out of jail free card. And now Pleasant Snake is trying to catch up to Danger David in front. If he just gets within that 3-second bubble, he will have 5th place. And what a start this would be for him in the Ferrari outfit. Of course, this is in wet conditions. We have yet to see what that pace would translate to in the dry over half a Grand Prix distance. Why is Jolly Boy John on the mediums as well? I think there's been a mistake in his pit stop, or he's trying to see out the worst of the rain. But of course, with race control only just disabling DRS, this is surely not an appropriate time to be out on dries. The 18 other drivers are on intermediate tyres, but also we are having a battle developing for 12th place. It is between Evor and Skid Solo. Skid Solo with 3 seconds in hand of penalties. Enzo with 12, and, well, has been one of the biggest disappointments. Has Enzo from 4th to 14th. It has just not worked out for him at all. Did get front wing damage early on in the race, and so that will have partially influenced that, but still, this won't be fun. As there with Mercedes of Tarcantino going very wide there, out of turn number 15, and unfortunately kind of resembles his race all the way at the back. But now Evo surely will have a chance at the Williams, of course, with no DRS. That means some of the advantages are negated as Enzo into the wall. Well, not quite into the wall, was able to save that somehow, but I think has incurred further damage maybe, or just calling it a night. I wouldn't blame him either way. It would be very hard to recover at this stage. And now, Danger David with that 3-second penalty to add on to his total time now means that Pleasant Snake has a guaranteed 5th place. As now Daryl as well trying to carry the Alpine of Danger David with him. At the moment, Rush the Series with 9 seconds of penalty, so it would be Daryl occupying that 3rd place, and how happy he must be. Moksha as well, how happy he must be as well. 2nd place on your debut, and dealing with wet weather conditions has rushed the series into the pits. So now Daryl will genuinely share 3rd place. There you go. Daryl is up into 3rd. What a race he's having as of right now. Under pressure from the Alpine of Danger David behind, and the Alpine does get the move done. But 6 seconds worth of penalties. Good luck getting a 6-second gap when you have another car in front of you with 3.5 seconds. It's not going to be easy, that's for sure. And Daryl does have 1 lap pressure tyres than the car in front, as our truck, well, Rush the Series now behind Kovachka, but in front of Andy Andre, who has incurred a track limits penalty himself, as does Evor. And Evor, well, 10 seconds to him as well. So can he get that done before the end of the race? We go to lap number 21 out of 32, so 12 laps to go. And it's very much become a stinted affair, but with the battle going on here with Quan, I think, at some point. There you go. Now he comes into the frame, as now Rush the Series with another track limits penalty, 12 seconds. So Race Chase, look at him. He's just kind of been dilly-dallying around and not incurring any penalties. In fact, if you look at the penalty counts and who has penalties on this race, there's only not really very many. As now we've had a moment. Quincy having a moment in turn number 4 of 3 even. I do apologize. Into the gravel, and will continue on, so no safety car needed. Bit of a heart-in-mouth moment there for Herman, I am sure, whenever he sees the yellow flag. Has got 6.5 seconds to the rest of the field. A good advantage on everybody else, but Race Chase will be like, will probably jump up a few positions himself towards the end. So I'm just going to see the penalty totals ahead of him. Yeah, I mean, 3 seconds. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds. So it might just be 8th place. But hey, that's a good start for Race Chase and the Red Bull outfit. So they might be a teammate combination to look out for as the season progresses. Lap 22 out of 32, 11 laps to go. We come to you live at Imola as now Rush the Series and Kovachka swap positions. So Rush the Series trying to push and get that gap to as high as he possibly can to try and avoid any further trouble. As Enzo now all the way down to 18th. So 14 positions lost. No points anymore for what was otherwise a points-paid position. Ever into the pits as well. Has he had some trouble somewhere on the track as how Toby goes past? Yes, a replacement front wing. So there's been trouble on the track there for the Kick Sauber, and the Kick Sauber in no points-paying positions at all. What a disappointing start to the season, and very much like how it ended last season for them. Well, a lot of storylines beginning in the most unpredictable way. Pleasant Snake up into 5th, the first round being kind to him, but Andy Andre repeating the first round curse down to 11th. Unfortunately, the tyre strategy just didn't quite work out with 10 laps to go. I don't think he's going any higher than 11th, to be honest. So he might go into 10th thanks to someone's 12-second penalty. As now we've had a moment with somebody. There's Moksha has had a moment, and Dowell is in 2nd place. Unbelievable stuff. Pleasant Snake now up into 4th. And now, look at this. Daryl is up into 2nd. Pleasant Snake, well, this could work out beautifully for him, but Danger David down the inside of Tosa. We've had a yellow flag for one of the Kick Saubers as well. Who is that? It is Quincy or Ever. What's happened there? Something has happened. I'm not quite sure what. But now they have been lapped. The Kick Saubers have been lapped. As Enzo gets a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting again. Deary, deary me. What has gone on there with the Haas and the Kick Sauber outfit? It has just not been a Grand Prix to remember for them, and they are going to be feeling like, what do we need to do to let get things go our way. But Moksha showing the rookie mistakes there. Last lap around into turn 2 and 3. Having a bit of a nightmare there, and even turn 4 as well. And now he's got Danger David, the Alpine. He doesn't care if he has penalties. He usually keeps trying for what it's worth. But Pleasant Snake just dropping back, allowing David to see if he can make any sort of impression on the Red Bull. Because Pleasant Snake, what a result this would be for him, as Enzo now on the full wet tyres. So I wonder if the full wets are the best tyre to be on. But it's not worth it, really. He's got nothing to lose. So he's probably just having a bit of fun and maybe practicing for the data. As now Danger David makes that move on Moksha. So now that leaves free reign for, well, Pleasant Snake to have a go, as now we have a caution in sector 2 that's been short-lived. So we will continue on as we were. Green flags are being waved, but look at David struggling with the rear end there. And now Daryl, well, is he catching the leader? It's down to 8.8 seconds. So there might still be time. But a little bit of a change towards the end of the race as Quincy now with another 3-second penalty. Skid solo into the pits. So Tarkangino moves up a position, but there's a lot of penalties to calculate towards the end of this. Danger David at the moment up into 3rd, but has 6 seconds worth. So it's well, it's going to be a bit of a... It's going to be an uphill task from here to try and gap these two. These two are quick in their own right. But my word, it's a battle for 3rd for one of them. But Daryl with a podium position, and perhaps for the first time in SSRL, the Aston Martin driver will continue on. As now there's a kick Sauber on the gravel there, as Enzo gets another penalty for track limits. What is his total up to? 21 seconds. It has not been a good day at the office for the Haas and the kick Saubers, and well, you would dare say the Williams as well. Both constructors have suffered in this first round. But Daryl at the moment, I thought he was catching, but that gap seems to have evened out at 8.7 seconds. There are now 8 laps to go as we have a caution in sector 3 for a Haas driver, and that's Enzo just making his way into the pit lane, so he must have just been going slowly. And now Enzo has called it a day and retires from the session, so no points for the Haas as things stand right now. And well, Pleasant Snake and Moksha are going to do battle with one another for these final 8 laps. Because now they are fighting for 3rd, but they can't let David get away. If they let him get above the 6-second window, it is no longer a battle for 3rd. It will be a battle for 4th. So, while I'm sure Pleasant Snake wants to pick his moment and try and have a go, it's got to be precise. It's got to be well planned. He has got to make sure he loses as little time making the move as he possibly can. The downhill would be a good place to start. He's got a good run out of turns 14 and 15, but not close enough on the Red Bull driver. As of right now, he will have the slipstream and possibly the energy to try and overtake him onto the start-finish line. Here we go, going through turns 19 as Ruslasir with another penalty. It goes from bad to worse for him as well. Truckster and Kavashko are doing battle, but we're now looking at the battle for 4th. Moksha to the inside to defend, Pleasant Snake to the outside to try and overtake. Here we go into turn 2, and it's not successful from the Ferrari driver at all. So he'll suddenly have to hang back yet again, but that will be lost time. In fact, they lost a second there to Danger David, but now Pleasant Snake trying to compensate from the momentum out of turn number 4, but couldn't quite carry it through 5 and 6. So they will have to reset for the time being, but now that gap increases to 3 seconds, and now we're seeing position swaps at the back of the field because Kavachka has made a move on Truckster. Now this is for position, but now Race Chase being involved in this means that they will gain a position. Andy Ardre has even caught up as well, up into 10th, but of course we'll lose that to Race Chase, I think, as Race Chase there with a bit of a squiggle through 5 and 6, now coming to Tosa. Well, keeps it all together, but it'll be such a shame. But at the moment, Race Chase, well, he's looking really good in this position, I must say. If he can stay with them, that will be the bare minimum, of course. But there you go. So just to talk about you two DNFs, Veda Boy, of course, was on a last chance saloon in SSRL, but I think that goodwill might have run out, so we may not see Veda Boy ever again. Enzo, from 4th place to DNF, has just had a miserable Grand Prix, not really had anything go his way. And as of right now as well, in the top 5, Herman the German from 7th to 1st, Daryl as well with a great drive from 5th to 2nd. Well, I think Daryl will just be happy with that, but the championship table is going to take one hell of a look as we go into round 2, which will be in Kota this very week. We have 10 straight weeks of racing, no breaks at all. Full quali will be round 5 in Shanghai, and of course round 10 in Barcelona will be a full quali as well, as Andy RJ now starting to make moves up the field, up into 9th place, which would become 8th towards the end, and well, he could have 7th if things work out, but at the moment, of course, race chase with no penalties, so he's just kind of gapping the Red Bull driver behind as well. And now with 6 laps to go, the racing may have neutralized for the lead, but we still have a couple of battles which are really intriguing. You are watching Andy make his way up the field as we have a caution in sector 2 for a Kick Sauber, who's lost their front right end plate. Is that Quincy? It certainly is. Quincy with a miserable Grand Prix himself won't take any points for the Kick Sauber outfit. Ever will, well, hopefully take 1 point. Ever with 3 seconds in penalties. Wow, Quincy there with an absolute save and a half, as Race Chase now has a penalty. And sadly, any charge that he had is now over. So he is now genuinely in 11th place, and that is just how the track limits can absolutely ruin your race. And now Andy RJ in a genuine fight for what will be 7th position towards the end of the race, rest of the series, with a total of 15 seconds worth of track limits. Says, oh no, Andy with another track limits penalty. That brings his total up to 6 seconds, and with 5 laps to go, unfortunately for you, my guy, you've now got to gap the field behind by 3 seconds. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can get that done. But overall, not the positions he would have wanted to be fighting for. And Stanley Asimov with a bit of a mistake there through turn 2. And now Andy to the inside. Kvachka to... No, Andy to the inside. Kvachka to the outside. But it is Kvachka that wins out for now. But that means that brings the drivers behind into this equation. As now Andy trying to make a dive into Tosa. Gets that done, meets the apex, fair and square from Kvachka to give space. They're now side by side out of Tosa, as Pleasant Stake and Moksha are now doing battle as well. But now we will have to cut back, because Andy RJ and Kvachka, well, Kvachka sliding out of the exit there. But at the moment, Moksha and Pleasant Stake are now beginning to do battle as well. Trugster improves up into 9th also. But with all that battling, Andy RJ is on that bubble for 7th position, and the other drivers will have to make note of that as well. Look at this, some of the lap cars are actually beginning to catch up to the battle behind here. I'm just confused because I'm not, yeah, so that is 16th and 17th there of Jolly Boy John. That is not a genuine battle because Jolly Boy John has 3 more seconds in hand and penalties. So at the moment, they've just got to be a bit careful about getting involved with this. As Tarkagina with another 3-second penalty for him. Let's see the totals. Although I say another, Quincy now has 15 seconds worth of penalties. Kvachka as well, swapping positions with Trugster on the start-finish straight. So that's all been said and done for them. But Danger David has got that gap up to 11 seconds to this battle. So now this has become a genuine battle for 4th position. Now it is going to be impossible unless if Danger David cuts the track several times in these last 4 laps. I don't deem it likely, but you never know. Imola isn't really one for being easy on the drivers, and well, Danger David, as much as he's catching up to Daryl, I think it would be wise just to call that chase off. So Danger David, well, Herman, Daryl, Danger David are currently your genuine top 3, but at the moment we are looking at the battle for 4th place, and we'll cut to other ones in just a second. But look at this, the Ferrari and the Red Bull giving us some entertainment. As now we have a caution in sector 1. That might be for Quincy yet again, because he's just probably had a moment there. Let's have a quick look. Yes, it indeed was for Quincy. But now, the Ferrari of Pleasant Stake to the inside into turn number 1. Now we approach turn number 2. And there you go, the Ferrari driver gets that done beautifully, if I say so myself, using the slipstream, using the energy. Pleasant Stake with a hell of a drive, but you've got to applaud Herman as well. He has started 7th and has found himself all the way at the top, and he has played this so beautifully. And now with 3 laps to go, it is looking very unlikely that anyone will be able to touch him. And of course, he will be back with a vengeance, as Daryl with a 3-second penalty, but that changes absolutely nothing in terms of his finishing position, because He's only got, the only person who's within his time frame is Danger David, but with 6 seconds penalty on his total, not really, he's not really going to make any sort of impression. So Daryl is okay, but just try not to repeat that, because if you get a 6 seconds penalty, then that makes things interesting for Danger David. But now, Herman the German on his final lap, a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane and retiring from the session. That is very common to see. 2 laps to go. Well, we thought it was going to be Andy's race, but when the rain came, Andy had no answer and has now got, well, a nice gap to Kovačka behind, but unfortunately doesn't have the gap to rush the series, I'm afraid. 12 seconds in play, but needs to get that down to 9, so he needs 1.5 seconds every lap, and I don't think he's getting that. Rush the series actually proven to be quite pacey. But Rush the series round the outside into turn number 1 as Moksha with a 3-second penalty there. Makes no difference, though, in the grand scheme of things. But only 2 drivers will finish without track limit penalties as it stands right now. So Pleasant Stake just needs to be a bit careful here and just kind of bring the car home now. Even if he loses out on 4th, as now Race Chase and Truckster are swapping position. Race Chase up into 10th now. And, well, he could be on for another position here. For 9th place is Danger David with another 3-second penalty. It goes from bad to worse. So now, well, he doesn't lose that position. But for Pleasant's sake, that might just bring up his attention. Because if Danger David is to get another penalty, he would be right, well, 6/10 within that window. So let's see if Pleasant Stake can do anything, but Danger David just needs to bring it home now. He's got a podium as Herman has now started the final lap. And to be honest, he suffered absolute heartbreak last season. Only got 2 wins last season in Monaco and Azerbaijan. But now, when it's come to crunch time in the race, and the first time of asking, he has brought that Mercedes to the lead of the race when the conditions turned dire. He said, this is mine to have. And he brought down that 3-second gap from 2nd place into 1st. And Andy RJ is nowhere to be seen in terms of the lead of the race. In fact, he'll be nowhere to be seen once we are done. He will finish 8th place as things stand right now. But Herman, well, he had the title taken away from him in the last race of the last season, but now he will come home at the first race of the season, and he's got his former team there to guide him, to be the light that brings him at the end of the darkness. He will cross the line, a winner in Imola. Daryl with the first ever podium in SSRL. What a win. Well, what a start in the Aston Martin outfit. Danger David will have 3rd as well in the Alpine, but Pleasant Stake with a first round good luck charm. He might have won out in Silverstone last time, but it will be just as sweet for 4th place. No penalties either. What a drive, but also Moksha, take a bow. That's 5th place for you. An energetic 6th. What a drive. 6th place for you as well, but Rush the series will be bitterly disappointed with this. Andy RJ, does he have enough of a gap to catch up to take 7th place away? Yes, he does. By the skin of his, well, 3 seconds. That was a bit closer than I thought, but here we go. Race Chase currently ahead of Truckster. It'll be a drag race to the line for these 3. It is going to be Kovačka, Race Chase, and Truckster, and Kwan will come home eventually in 12th and with 6-second penalty to boot, but it doesn't matter. It's not going to ruin his race. But what a race, says Daryl. And you know what a race that was in general. Kwan with one of his better finishes that we have seen in a long time, and finishing in the points as well for the V-Carb outfit. Of course, the V-Carb, the current Constructors Champion, but not being the best of starts, which the series will need to work on his track limits. But we have one heck of an image going in. Didn't expect that. No, I don't think anyone did, to be honest. We saw the top 2 stay out on the dries for a very long time. And we thought it might have just been a passing shower, but in the end, it was here to stay, and stay it did. But Herman took full advantage of it, and now we will cut to post-race interviews. I am certain of that. Let's see who will join me in the commentary box. So we're just waiting for a couple of people, but Trugster again with a non-finish, but Pleasant Stake, I think, had a bit of bad luck there. Pleasant Stake. Well, no, I don't mean Trugster. Well, Trugster did have some bad luck, as now we start to see the podium celebrations of Mercedes on top. They, of course, finished second place. No, they didn't. They finished third place, didn't they, last season? Oh, something like that. But now are on top in Season 4, but it's only one race. But Herman trying to get stuff done. Herman is your winner for race number 1 in Season 4. Daryl in second, Danger David third, Pleasant Stake fourth, Moksha fifth, Energetic sixth, Andy RJ 7th. Will be bitterly disappointed with how his race came, from pole to 7th. Rush to Siri 8th, Kovachka 9th, and Race Chase rounding up your top 10. And outside of that, Trugster, bitter disappointment for him. Quan 12th, Evil 13th, Takagino 14th, 15th is Toby, Jolly Boy John 16th, 17th Skid Solo, and your 3 non-finishers are Quincy, Enzo, and Vedaboy. So now we will take some post-race interviews, I imagine, and we already have the winner in here. But at the moment, let's see. And actually, we found out who pressed go. It was Trugster. He just got a new wheel and he pressed the wrong button. And yeah, no, that's basically what it is. But we're just waiting for a couple of people to come into the commentary box. We need to see Daryl and Danger David. So Daryl, if you're here, come into the comms box, please. We have interviews to do with you. But at the moment, I think I'm just going to get things underway. Herman the German is in the commentary box with us right now to take an interview. Herman, from the darkness that was the end of Season 3, and now to begin Season 4 with a win, that must feel like some sort of redemption.
Yeah, certainly, Dave. That was a race I could have dreamt about for a long time. I had previously decent performances in Imola where the result wasn't always there to show it. But today was just perfect. Car felt great. It was so enjoyable to drive. I had some talk with a good friend of mine to talk setups and how I want to approach the season. And was also helping me with a bit of engineering throughout the race. And just after getting some passes done, and I knew the medium tire is going to drop off. And when this transition phase hit, as we might have saw, Andy was nowhere in terms of pace. I could open a gap, and the hards were just easy to drive. And just on that lap where I pitted for the first time, that didn't feel great. And after that, a bit of fuel saving was also done. That's why Daryl caught up a bit in between sometimes. And then from lap 26 onwards, I had everything under control. Just had to make a few passes for lap cars, and then bring it over the line.
And that you did as well. What preparation have you taken in from Season 3 into Season 4? Of course, you've actually had an engineer in your ear this time around, but is there anything else outside of anything, outside of the game that you've just been doing just to say, Season 4 is going to be my season?
Honestly, just getting out more sometimes, which obviously helps. I'm currently in a state where I'm looking for a job in my business life, basically. So I have some time on my hand compared probably to most of these guys, but I'm not sitting there 24/7. As you might know, you can always over practice. So I tried to see what the biggest issues were, and that was obviously qualifying pace. It wasn't too far, and obviously P3 was just maybe 10th and a half away from from behind there today if I unfortunately didn't get blocked in the pit lane by my teammate when I was trying to exit for the last run. But that is always something that can happen when it's that hectic at the end of a session. And yeah, honestly, just trying to understand the cars more for qualifying and set it up for the race even better. And yeah, get some well-needed information about tire lives and the track more, because some tracks we didn't do on this game so far, and I haven't raced them that much as well. So Imola was one of them, and
Mhm.
previously I just tried to get the track get the track coming more towards me and trying to find something that would work with the car and how my driving style would fit it. And that, yeah, it was basically really the nail on the head there today with how the car went beautiful underway from the start, and obviously in these raining conditions as well. It was just yeah a very good tool in my hands today to be prepared for every condition out there.
Mhm. And now, just to kind of finish off the question, what are you looking at in terms of Kota? Of course, we also have 10 straight weeks of racing as well. So, what is the? I mean, just coming from like a championship contender mindset such as yourself, what is that like to instead not have 12 rounds and have 2 breaks there to now have 10 rounds and no breaks at all? What's that like for you going forward?
Yeah, that's obviously gonna be tough for everyone, and obviously with the result today and Eddie not being in the top two at least for now, that's obviously gonna hurt him more. For now,
Hmm.
every race counts more, because if you have a fuck up, the points gap can't be regained that easily. And in terms of Kota, I'm looking to continue dominant performances there.
Hmm.
In season two, I was yeah, undefeated just like today with an even bigger gap, and that was the track I was feeling at home the most currently for the history of SSRL. And yeah, honestly, just how much I could get out of the car and how little mistakes I did, and how at home I felt there in season two compared to all the rest of the races where, yeah, I was always going to be finishing second or third to Andy in that season, where it was still close. But yeah, in terms of the races left after the two downsides with the Singapore race you watched where I got disqualified, and the DNF after that, it just didn't help. And I'm just hoping to have a, yeah, back-to-back strong performance, even if it's not first like today. Just hoping to have a clean, good race with no penalties, just like I do there as always. And that's going to be my main focus and target for my practice under the week as well.
All right. Well, Herman, thank you very much for taking my questions today. Congratulations on yet another win. And
Thank you.
let's see if there'll be more to come. We'll see you at some point, I'm sure.
All right. Thank you for casting.
You're welcome. Well, here's a world. Second place went to Daryl, and that was not quite on my bingo card, but it happened anyway. Daryl, congratulations on second place. What a
Thank
way
you
to
very
start the
much.
season.
Yeah, very good. Didn't have the pace, but was lucky to get P2 in the end.
So I mean, I was looking at your race kind of throughout, and it was kind of quiet for you. You just kind of kept to yourself. You didn't get as many penalties, and also the strategy seemed to be working out, especially once we transitioned from the dry to the wet. Was that really the difference that was keeping you in second, bar maybe third place?
To be honest, yes. I tried to keep the delta on my tyres better than the guys pitted behind me.
Hmm.
So I copied Herman in the lead. It did pay off, but then again, I was lucky because the Red Bull and the Alpine had contact. So
Hmm. And I guess going forward into the Aston Martin, of course, you were in the Alpine last season. So what is some of the differences from the going from the Alpine to the Aston Martin for you?
overall, the sound was better. No, that's about it, really. Yeah, just aiming to finish higher than last year, really.
And how do you feel going into Kota? Do you think you could repeat a podium performance?
No, I just don't have the pace at the moment. So I was very lucky. My car set wasn't the best, and to wing a P2, I'll take that.
All right, then. Well, Daryl, congratulations on P2. I'll move things straight over to our
Thank you very
P3
much.
driver, David. Congratulations on P3. 3. What a way to start out Season 4, David. Was a bit hit and miss for you throughout the race, but as soon as things transferred to the wet and kind of stayed there, it looked like you had the pace over everyone else, despite your penalty. Can you just take us through that race from your perspective?
Yeah, certainly. Certainly, just to start off, of course, the Alpine does sound terrible. Coming from the Red Bull to the Alpine, I can totally understand what Daryl's saying. So, but the race itself, being honest with you, the setup I chose, it was not the right setup. It was a last-minute choice, and it didn't feel good the whole race. I'm surprised it ended up in P3, especially 9 seconds of penalties as well. So that needs to be evaluated. I need to look back and see how I got all those warnings. A couple were certainly from kind of fights within the pack and trying to get through and get maybe pushed off a little bit. And of course, the incident with the Moshka, that was really unfortunate because I was able to be in control of the car up until then. And I felt like I could get that overtake and I could have potentially got the 6 seconds ahead of him earlier. And yeah, you see what happened. I spun off. So good race.
In terms of going into a 10 race straight calendar, no breaks, how are you feeling going forward in the weeks, and what is that going to be like for you? Do you think you could actually try and contend for the championship, or is that just a bit beyond you as of right now?
No, I think I've got the potential there. Of course, Herman's up there. He was really fast tonight. I think qualifying in P10 on the first lap, I got pushed down to, I think it was P13, P14. And to climb back up to P3 with 9 seconds of penalties, it does show that the pace is there, even with a setup that I wasn't confident with. I do think I could be fighting this year for the drivers, but as Herman mentioned, it's all about that qualifying, and I need to maximise qualifying because starting P10, it just leaves you vulnerable to battles early in the race, whereas Herman and Darrell, they were able to maintain that gap, and it was quite a clean race for them. For myself, looking back, it was very hectic.
Fair enough. Well, David, that's all I really have from you. We'll maybe see you at some point in the next coming weeks. But otherwise,
see you next week.
See you next week. But otherwise, have a good rest of your evening. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye. All right, guys. Well, look, that wraps up an evening with SSRL. Season 4 begins in perhaps the best possible circumstances. We'll have a look at our calendar. Of course, next week we are off to Austin. Of course, the real life race will be taking place there this weekend. We hope you all enjoy the Grand Prix. Then it's off to Mexico, followed by a trip to Brazil. Then for the halfway round, it is going to be a full qualifying session in Shanghai. Then it's off to Red Bull Ring in Austria, then back to the USA for the Las Vegas Grand Prix, then to Lusail in Qatar. Then the final 2 races are Abu Dhabi and, of course, a full qualifying session in the country of Spain in Circuit de Catalunya. Well, a win for Herman the German. Is this time for redemption in Season 4 from having it being snatched away, that the champion that is, to having it hopefully at least 1 foot to the step of being a champion? Find out next week if his form continues. But other than that, from wherever you may be in the world and from everybody at SSRL, we wish you a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Stay safe, stay alive, and we will see you next week, same time as always at 7:30 p.m. Bye for now.